Welcome to Before I Do. My name is Charmaine Jennings,
My name is Walter Jennings. We are your Couples Academy practitioners.
and this show is designed for those of you who are engaged, thinking about getting engaged. You may not want to be engaged. You might have, maybe you're newly married, considering getting married. Either way, just dating for fun. This show is for you. Our goal is to facilitate courageous conversations on topics relevant to dating and relationships.
Before I Do is an interactive show, so please be sure to put your comments and questions in the chat. Tonight, we are actually getting into part 2 of our season's meeting. Season's greetings to all of you. Don't know whether you celebrate Hanukkah or Christmas or
Kwanzaa.
Kwanzaa, or you don't celebrate anything at all. You just go over everybody's house and expect to give and eat up everybody's food, regardless of what it is that you celebrate. We want to make sure that we cover when you're talking about dating and interacting and introducing your partner to your foundational family, or vice versa, some of the things that you'll want to bear in mind during this holiday season.
Absolutely. And we want to start off, we're just going to get in your business. All right. We said this show is interactive. And actually, we want to start off with our first speak now or forever hold your peace question. And we want to just prime you, get you thinking about this question because we want to hear from you. And our first question is, what is your strategy for preventing a hostile holiday experience?
Wait a minute. So, bad things happen during the holiday time?
Oh, yeah. First of all, we often talk about, the holiday season, emotions are high. This is times of the year. Mental health and wellness is a top priority. Why? Right? Because stress is largely connected to the holiday season. So what is your strategy? What do you do to prevent things from becoming hostile? And again, sometimes they become hostile because of stress.
And a lot of times we can enact preventative measures when it comes to some of the things that we can expect when we know we're going to be around our foundational family, or when we're going to introduce our partner at the time to those individuals within our family. So it's a matter of just having those courageous conversations, thinking through some of the issues that may potentially come up, and really being honest and transparent about who it is that we're interacting with. Now, there are some of us, right? In our family, we are the only sane ones. We are the only sane. Everybody else was raised by a pack of wolves, right? And so we are the only sane ones. At least we think so. But obviously I say that tongue in cheek and in jest. But the bottom line is, we are all, as it relates to families, are a mixture of different personalities, different experiences, and so all of those differences are what make us beautiful and unique. But it does come with a lot of different challenges as well, and learning how to navigate that, especially when you are introducing someone that may come from a different background or introduce a different culture. So being able to think through what your strategy is for helping to navigate those situations is going to be really important. So once again, our Speak Now question of the night. Question number 1 is, what is your strategy for preventing a hostile holiday experience?
And so I'm just going to get in your business. You're a married guy, right?
Yes, I am.
Yes. And so what do you do, right, to ease the stress, to ensure that, I want to make sure we have a happy holiday experience instead of a hostile holiday experience?
So the first thing that I do is I make sure that whoever it is that I'm bringing around my family, that they know exactly what they're getting into as it relates to my family dynamic as a culture and as a whole, but also certain individuals as well. So it's like, hey, this particular person right here, they like to joke a lot. So they're not gonna be shy. They're gonna jump right in. This particular person right here, they're going to get in your business, ask you where you from and who are your people and what you're going to school for, how you got into it. So they're going to be very inquisitive.
Got it.
This particular person right here, they're going to offer you something to drink. They're going to offer you something to smoke, and they're going to,
drink
that's
is
what they
in
do.
The spirits.
Drink,
the beverages.
All spirits. We must discern the spirits, because not all spirits are created equal. Ring the bell, please.
Damn, that deserves the bell.
So making sure again that for me, I believe that transparency is really important. The other thing that I do personally, I believe in moving around. Like as far as like not just sitting in one place the entire time.
As in front of the television,
right.
perhaps?
Yeah, okay. But allowing myself to really move around, interacting with different family members, engaging in different conversations. Mm-hmm. I do that so that to maximize the opportunity to make sure that I get a chance to connect with everyone, mm-hmm. but it also helps to prevent getting bogged down into some of those conversations with people that will become contentious.
Got it.
And so that moving around really helps, because now it doesn't look like I'm trying to avoid anything, and really I'm not. What I am doing is I'm purposing on making sure that I'm interacting with everyone so that it doesn't pull me into a potential contentious situation.
Okay, so interested in what I'm
doing. Of course I am.
Okay, yeah. So my strategy, one of the things that I do is, see, you all may not know this about me. I'm going to share a little bit about me, something personal about me. Food. Mm-hmm. Like the food needs to be on point for the holidays. It is a part of the happiness, the joy that fills the room. And so for us, we're in a different phase of life where we're caregivers. Still have children, but then we also have our parents and things like that. So we live in a multi-generational home, mm-hmm. right? We have four different generations in our home, right? And so we live in a multi-generational home. And then we have multiple dietary needs and restrictions. Whoa. So if you want to talk about some stress when you're thinking about the holiday menu, and you have multiple generations, you got the soul food, boil everything,
old school southern.
Yeah. Then you got the new school vegetarian, crispy vegetables, clean eating. Like it can be some problems. Okay, you want to talk about a hostile day when that menu isn't right for everyone. So for me, food. I really, and then, if people aren't happy with the plate of food they have, that makes for some cranky family members, yes, right? Lord. Conversations that may not go so well. So that's mm-hmm. the first thing I definitely try to avoid. But I do want to share some information with you. It says holidays are filled with laughter and cheer and all of these different things until those social allergens. Mm. So we talk about allergies, right? So when people have different food needs versus dietary restrictions, it becomes it can't be on because it becomes a problem. But there are also something that is called a social the things that cause you to be and cause emotional explosions. And what happens is when people at the holidays, your family members, they press your button. They push the button. They keep pushing that same button. You did it last holiday. You're doing it this holiday. And now the story continues. You did it at Thanksgiving. Now you're doing it again. You did it at Juneteenth. You did it at... If you got one more time to try me, right? So a social allergen are things that they usually have become a social allergy because of cumulative annoyances. And these are one of the main triggers that cause conflicts during the holidays, especially amongst families. And so we have to be very careful. What are those small behaviors that family members or things that come up for you that others are doing, and that you have to be very careful because this keeps the allergy going. It is when you're passive aggressive, you are not really speaking to what you need, want, and or the boundary that needs to be set, where you accept that sarcasm instead of the joke. Sarcasm is very different from a joke, right? And then sibling rivalries. These are amongst the top 3 social allergens that can cause holiday conflict. So we want to avoid all of that.
Absolutely.
So we're going to take a brief commercial break. Are we going to take a commercial break?
Yes, we are.
We're going to take a brief commercial break, and we want to hear from you. What are some of the things you do to avoid hostile holiday? What's your strategy? We want to know.
All right. We're going to take a quick commercial, and we'll be right back with more before I do.
Welcome to the Couples Academy app. The Couples Academy app is your go-to hub for how to do marriage right. Get started with our app today by perusing our amazing features that conveniently allow you to connect. This app is packed with powerful content and resources to help you grow and stay connected. With this app, you can watch our messages, find marriage resources, Watch, listen, and read the real-life stories of restored couples. Sign up for events, read articles and blog posts, stay up to date with push notifications, share your favorite messages via Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or email, and download messages for offline listening. For more information about the Couples Academy app, go to couplesacademy.org.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Before I Do. Tonight we're talking about seasons meetings, how to avoid a hostile holiday part 2. And we actually have some comments to our first Speak Now question, which was, what are some of the strategies you employ to help prevent you from having a hostile holiday? Renee says, being open with each other about needs and being aware enough to ask if we think our spouse may be overwhelmed. That is so huge. And she goes on to say, still working on it, but I am learning.
That's right. I love the fact that overwhelmed. Sometimes we, with our spouse, we have to have that sidebar conversation. It's kind of like being in the game, right? And the coach sometimes has to call somebody to the sideline and give them a rest. So I love the word overwhelmed because there's a lot to think about.
But you also talked about being in the game as it relates to like teammates. So as you get to know your teammate, right, you'll be able to pick up on certain body languages and cues. And if you all remember, one of the things that we talked about when you're dating someone, we said that you never marry someone until you observe them in all four seasons. Part of observing them is being able to pick up on those nonverbal cues when they may be uncomfortable, when they may be overwhelmed, when they may be getting irritated, where you're able to actually see those things and intervene in a way that's going to be helpful to them and not embarrassing.
Absolutely.
So these types of situations, they offer good practicum and practice for you to be able to really learn how you all are able to complement one another and jive in those particular situations.
And let's just go ahead and support Renee right now, or just really, and even challenge you even more. Do you have some nonverbal cues? Every couple, married, dating, you need some nonverbal cues that, it's just like, again, every sport, right? There are some nonverbal cues or internal code that the coaches use to communicate with the players. The players use to communicate with each other because they don't want the other team perhaps to know what their signals are. Every married couple, they have some signals, whether it's a nonverbal cue with the eye contact, like being able to read your partner's eyes. If you have not yet developed those cues, before you go to the family gathering, dinner, whatever it is, you want to have those verbal cues or those social cues that when that social allergen happens, if a trigger happens, how are you going to pivot? How are you going to work that? What happens when you need to leave the room and take a break? What are some of those things that you're going to do? And or how can you support each other? I'm tired, my feet's hurting, but maybe I've been in the kitchen too long and I'm getting a little cranky and I don't want to snap on you. So what do I do?
Yeah. And to be clear too, this is an opportunity for growth. This is an opportunity again for you to really understand the person that you're in a relationship with.
Yes.
And so this is not about you stressing yourself to try to put all these things together, but it also allows you to be able to see if this is someone that I can partner with and being able to navigate these types of holidays and foundational families. Laquita, hey baby girl. Laquita says, I think that it helps with interacting and learning my significant other's family. I do that as well, mingling with the family. So
that's right.
So this is again getting up, mingling, making sure you're interacting, having conversations with different people within the family is a really great strategy again for not getting bogged down in any type of conversations that may become contentious, especially with people that because there are family members that will look for drama.
Yes.
They like the drama, they like the argument, they like the intensity. They're those people would call them fire signs.
Yes.
Where unless there's something that is going on that's getting that voice is elevated high, that's their element and they like that. It doesn't necessarily mean that that they're meaning to cause all types of disarray, but oftentimes it can devolve into that because that's not everybody's safe and peaceful place.
That's right.
But it's being able again to understand who those people are,
Mm-hmm.
know how long you can interact with them, and then when it's time to move on, make sure that you do so in a way that you're able to detach so that you don't get sucked into that.
Absolutely. And you need to have your PR statements on deck.
Yes.
We like to call them PR statements. These are the statements that they're the public statements that you can say. It helps you pivot. It helps you leave the room. It helps you leave the house if you need to.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what? I have some commitments. I love everyone, but I'm going to have to transition. Give everybody hugs and you head out,
Mm-hmm.
and I love everyone. I have some other commitments or some other individuals who definitely expect to see me today,
Mm-hmm.
And pivot. But I do want to transition back to ways to avoid that hostile holiday, right? These are just some things that, our daughter, she definitely gave us some of this advice. So I definitely want to plug this in because she's 19, will be 20 next month.
Mm-hmm.
And just as a young adult, she said, I asked her, I says, what are some things that you think that people should stay away from when they're dating? She said, avoid the holiday breakup. Do not break up with someone the day before Christmas, okay? Or, you strategically decided that it was over and you're not in love no more the day before Christmas. You might not want to do that, especially if you're trying to avoid hostility. You don't want the breakup. You got your family asking, well, what happened to such and such? And you brought somebody new. You haven't told the family. You broke up with that person the day before. You're bringing someone new to the house. Avoid the holiday breakups if possible.
So do I do my Steve Harvey?
Yes.
So usually, the game is to be sold, not to be told. But so part of the rule, right? Part of the man rule, the man law, right? Is that
toxic man law?
Yeah, maybe, depending on who you're talking to. Part of the man law is that if you are with someone that you don't necessarily see a future with them, you always want to break up with them before the holidays.
Pause right there.
Yeah, you want to break up
I
before
hope we're
the holidays.
listening.
Yes.
I hope we are listening because this is again people who understand human behavior and how to move and how to manipulate. And so, say that one more time. There are individuals,
that believe that if you are with someone that you're not necessarily interested in a long-term relationship,
you're not serious
with them,
about them.
Yeah, you break up with them before the holidays. Now, the holidays are before Thanksgiving. So this is not in December. That's too late because it's already almost Christmas time. So this is in early November. So this is before Thanksgiving. And it extends all the way through Valentine's Day. So you're talking about November through February. And then if you're going to get back, you get back with them after Valentine's Day. And guess what's after Valentine's Day?
What's that?
Tax return season.
You better stop.
So, hey, trust me.
I hope we are listening.
There's a strategy to this.
To the players and the people who are about manipulating. Please know that. So if you have a person, we just happened to break up in November. And this person comes, they back in love again with you.
End of February, beginning of March.
That's a problem.
That's intentional.
They're running game and intentional. And now you're right. It's tax return season. And now, you're looking good again. Yep. He fine again. Or, so ladies and gentlemen, please do not be fooled by the foolery of that.
Know the game. Don't just watch it unfold.
Absolutely. Another thing we want to avoid during the holidays to avoid a hostile, you want to avoid gossiping and sharing other people's business. You might be dropping a bomb that you don't even know is going to have catastrophic, effects on people. You might have happened. Oh, yeah. Well, the last time I saw my cousin, we were here. And, you might have outed them so just avoid gossiping and especially sharing people's personal business. And if you are going to do that, say that I'm sharing this in confidence and my intention is this, and this, and this if you're sharing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's really important that you not operate in gossip, rather more question and taking an interest in that particular, the health and wellness of everyone within the family. So figuring out exactly what's going on with that person. And, a lot of times those are the things that can really be detrimental to a family.
Absolutely.
Is you've got individuals that are behind one another's back, having conversations about different things that are going on rather than taking those comments directly to the person. And on the flip side of an extension of that, also too, if you need a mediator, be honest about needing a
Yes.
mediator, because sometimes gossip happens because not everyone is necessarily strong enough or adept enough to address an issue that they have with the person.
That's true.
And so there are some of us who people see as peacemakers, as mediators, as I know that I can talk to this person and I can share and they can actually help me solve my problem. But with us, it sounds like, well, you're just dumping trash in our yard. And are you really trying to solve the problem? Or are you really just trying to taint this person's name and vent? So making sure that you are clear with your intentions when you're having these conversations. And then for people like us who do oftentimes find ourselves in the middle of those situations, we're charged with holding you accountable for what you do, what's done with that information, not just holding it, not allowing it to become toxic, not allowing it to become something that just, ends up being so damaging to the family.
All right. And with that, we definitely want to go to our next speak now for Hold Your Peace question. We're going to go to the next two of them. Okay. So there's two things we want you to think about. The second one is, which discussion topics or theme creates a hostile holiday atmosphere? I mean, come on now. We're at the dinner table. Okay. And I know there are some classic scenes in movies where you remember it went down at the dinner table. Okay. So what are those topics or themes that knowing your family, these are just, it's like throwing a hand grenade in the middle of the dining room table, and all the food and everything is just exploding because this person brought up this topic and it's just one that our family can't really handle well. So for you, what are those topics? What are those themes that create a hostile holiday atmosphere in your house? Right? And I'm just going to go ahead and drop the other speak now forever hold your peace question as well. And what are the rules of engagement for gift giving? Like every family has, this is deep rooted culture. And again, we are relationship coaches. Hire us. Okay, we delve deep into these things with our clients because they are important, especially when it comes to conflict resolution and management and all of that kind of stuff. So rules of engagement for gifts.
So as it relates to the topics, Renee says politics.
Ooh.
So obviously politics can be a really hot button issue wherever you go, not just within family gatherings, but whether it's the workplace, whether it is, again, even in your social circles, church, wherever you go, politics is, they say there are two things that you usually have to be very, very, very careful to discuss in politics, because everybody feels very strongly about both of those two things. So you have to be very careful. And again, you have to be very intentional when you have that conversation. And it can create, I believe, an opportunity for understanding. And it can really broaden our ability to be able to relate to one another. But the challenge is that most of the time, most people really begin to dig in their heels and become defensive about what they believe, rather than allowing themselves to be open to hear the viewpoint and the perspective and the experiences of other people. And so we lose a lot of the opportunity to be able to connect with others when we're not open to that.
And I myself have had moments during the holidays with family members where I did not handle certain conversations so well, especially when it came to spirituality, right? Especially when you get someone who definitely is not really seeing clearly your experience, how you worship, how you honor, and your thoughts and your beliefs, and can become very judgmental. And so I know I have blown it, and I've had to apologize. And I'm like, look, please, let's restart. We have to, as a family, we have to be able to have conversations about politics views without necessarily it breaking the family apart. We have to be able to have courageous conversations. If I can't talk to you about politics, and you can't trust me to not blow up and have an emotional explosion, can you come to me when you're in crisis? I'm your family member, right? So I'm not saying it's appropriate at the dinner table, because I don't want the potato salad and all that kind of stuff tasting bad just because we're having a bad conversation. Which brings us to Laquita's point.
Yes. So I was gonna say that for last, because I know we're dealing with some serious ones. Laquita actually has 3 other topics. I'm gonna save that one. But Laquita says, as far as one of the topics again that can cause challenges at the dinner table is someone's past.
That's right.
Which I was going to share that in our family, we have some individuals that we love that have made some decisions that others have had to live with. And so when that person's name comes up, when some of those decisions come up, it can be a really tense time. First of all, because that person is not here to defend themselves.
That's true.
Second of all, because that person's family members are there, and then they become targets. And the third reason is because now it's what do we do again with this information?
That's right.
Because there's hurt, there's pain, there's disappointment there. And so again, it really becomes an opportunity. First of all, is that the right place for it to be addressed?
Right.
And then second of all, again, what are you hoping to get out of it? And so a lot of times I'm hurt. And I want everybody to know that I'm hurt. And so, it's really important when it comes to dealing with the past, that we keep things in the proper perspective, and that whether the topic gets thrown out, for us to own what is ours.
Right.
We have to be able to own our behavior. I cannot own the behavior of someone else. The only thing that I can do is to commit myself to honoring whatever I can to help support that individual that may be the one that has been hurt by that person's those person's actions.
Yeah, and working to heal. And I think really communication. Again, we are relationship coaches, whether you're working on your individual relationship, or you were in a romantic relationship, or you were just working with in a relationship with your family members, siblings, etc. The most powerful tool in communication is being clear about your intention, right? And so it's okay to share information if I'm trying to inform. But if I'm sharing information and my goal is to persuade, now we have an agenda. And I'm going to walk away from this conversation not feeling like my agenda was accomplished if I did not persuade everyone. So I think sometimes, and when we're communicating, I've learned to ask, are you sharing this information to inform? Okay, that's something we didn't know. We'll definitely, how would you want us to partner in prayer with you? Were you just wanting to make us aware of it so we know, what is the intention of what you're wanting to share, so we can be clear about that, right? And then it's not something that's unknown. It's a very powerful thing to do.
Yeah. So the next one that Laquita mentions is cultural upbringing, which can be a really big one. And so that's important that, again, we see it as an opportunity for us to create a place of understanding, which is very, very, very important that we really use it as an opportunity for us to be able to hear one another.
Yeah. And so another at the dinner table, we ask those topics and themes that you definitely avoid at the dinner table, or just in general, to avoid that hostile holiday environment. Something that we want you to do as well is avoid intrusive questions. You want to avoid asking, hey, that the couple, or what was the man you brought over here during last holiday? When y'all get married? Asking women, when are y'all gonna have a baby? It's oh my God, the intrusive questions, right? We have to get to a place, and unfortunately, I'm gonna call our elders out. Yes, I'm calling the elders out. You all know better. Because if you ask a young woman, maybe in their 20s, 30s, or whatever, when are y'all going to have children? If they say, well, when are you going to have some more children? Oh, not that disrespectful, right? If they flip that question around and ask you the very thing that you asked them, would you be offended? And so the question becomes is, you don't know if maybe they're trying to have a child and they're having some challenges, some delays. You don't know. Maybe they have no intention of having children, and that's none of your business. Right. And
even what you're describing, Charmaine, that is actually those are the culture clashes that happens. Because I would hear those questions all the time when I was growing up, and even then they were inappropriate, but the person didn't respond in a way that let the individual asking the question know that it was appropriate. But now with this generation, they're letting you know that's not an appropriate question. And now that can be seen as disrespect. That's not disrespectful. Just because it's something that was done previously and was accepted, it doesn't mean that it was always right.
That's true.
And so elders, to be clear, we're not only calling you out, we're calling you up. We're calling you up to really be open to analyzing how your actions, how your questions, how some of the things that may have been said to you, were those things correct? because again, with elders, everything that our elders said was not necessarily appropriate, because we were allowed it to happen and felt like we weren't empowered to see. We needed to want to disrespect them.
Absolutely. And it's just really important, because everything goes back to the relationship bank account. You can't make a withdrawal if you haven't made deposits. You don't get to ask someone about their personal. It's intrusive. You're asking me about my reproductive system and when I'm having a child, and you're asking me about personal things between me and my partner, and you're asking me in a public platform. Those questions tend to come where there's other ears around us. You don't pull me aside in private. You're asking me publicly, and then I'm disrespectful when I choose not to respond, or I said, you know what, that's a really personal matter, and then eyes get big and you get offended.
Yeah.
And it's like, I really need us to do a better job of merging generations.
Yes.
Making sure we are making relationship deposits before we make those withdrawals. And then we have these culture clashes, right? And we're like, what happened?
Yeah.
What happened? We have to be committed to the recovery process.
And for those of you who are asked inappropriate questions, please check that.
Yeah.
Because again, please check that. Do it in a way as tactful and respectful as you possibly can. Because again, culturally, for a lot of people, they may not even know they're being offensive. So always err on the side of the fact that maybe this person does not know.
Yeah,
now, I know some of y'all like, nah, they know, but you're not just doing it for their benefit.
Right.
You're also doing it for the benefit of others who may not know that's inappropriate. I didn't know that it was inappropriate until a few years ago that you don't ask how somebody passed away.
Right.
I never, usually that was the first question that people asked. I didn't know that was inappropriate until someone pointed out that that's a very personal and inappropriate, because oftentimes people will make judgments.
They will.
About, well, did the person deserve to die because of how they passed away?
Right. That's the microaggression.
Exactly.
That's the microaggression, and we want to definitely stay away from that.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. And last but not least, we got to get into this last topic by Queet. And I know it may seem like a light one, but who made the potato salad? Because, everybody's gift and calling
is not the same.
Everybody's gifts and callings are not the same when it comes to the culinary.
Oh my God.
And so, you want to make sure that the answer is accurate and correct, and that everybody is operating in their proper areas and arenas of gifts.
Yes. And there are certain foods in every family. I'm telling you that this will not be a happy experience, okay, if it's not right. And there's certain dishes that everybody has in their family that it must be 100% on point, okay? And whoever is assigned and dedicated to do that, your assignment. Hopefully you already went to the store and it's already sitting on the countertop and you got all your ingredients and you're ready to go. We did have a third Speak Now Forever Hold Your Peace question, and we have 10 tips we want to leave you with as we close out our show. And so we're just going to definitely give it to you. Definitely some rules of engagement for gifts.
Yeah, but before we do that, we're going to take a really quick, brief commercial break, and we'll be right back with 10 tips to help you navigate and to prevent a hostile holiday right here on Before I Do.
Hello and welcome back to Before I Do. My name is Charmaine Jennings, and I have with me my husband, Walter Jennings, and we're talking about how to avoid a hostile holiday part 2. And we are ready to give you these 10 tips, but hopefully you've been tuning in. We want to know, are there rules of engagement for gift giving? What are those topics and themes that you want to avoid at the dinner table or just in general? And do you have specific strategies? Well, guess what? If you don't, we're about to roll them out. So get a pencil, paper, be ready, because Saturday and Sunday will be here before you know it. And so just going into the gift giving piece, we had to include this part in here because when it comes to gifts, All right, we have some people who are really gifted when it comes to gifts, and then we have some people who they really have to work hard to do a good job providing that great gift, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what are the rules of engagements for gift giving, especially during this holiday season? Because I'm just going to roll out some things and I just want y'all to think about it because these things happen. You want to avoid a hostile holiday. You want to make sure you know a little bit about your family members and loved ones before you buy a gift. Rule number one, how to avoid a hostile holiday. You don't want to buy some alcohol for someone who has a former addiction, right? So, if I have an issue with alcoholism, you don't want to buy me a bottle of alcohol. So you don't want to bring a bottle of wine or whatever it is and gift that to me if like, no, I've been clean for like 10 years. Like, don't do that, right? Ouch. So especially if you're dating someone, they don't know. They might bring, some Crown Royal, I don't know, whatever they drink, right? And you're like, oh, I didn't know your parents don't drink or no one in your family drinks, right? You want to definitely give them a heads up. Candy for children, just randomly giving your candy to different children. There's so many allergies, so many issues nowadays with children having allergies. So you want to make sure you're not just giving people's children things without the permission of the adults who are responsible for them, right?
Yeah.
And then when it comes to gifts, some of y'all like the sexy. You might buy your man.
Pass me that bell. Let me slide that. Absolutely.
You might buy your man, you might buy your lady that nice, sexy lingerie. Do you really? If your family opens gifts together, like, would you be devastated if your partner bought you something sexy, and literally you didn't know, you open up the gift and like his mom's mouth is to the floor, his dad over there, his eyes stretched wide open, and you were like, oh my gosh, he bought me a thong with some nipple pasties and all other kind of sex toys, and I literally opened up this gift in front of the little children in the room too, and they're like, auntie, what are those little ball things that light up and vibrate? Can I play with it? No, you can't play with it. And why would you give me this gift to open up in front of the family? So public gifts versus private gifts, okay? We really got to talk about it. Please don't do that.
I'm just going to chime in real quick and say that I'm married. And so what I need you to do is be happy for me. That's what I need you to do. Get your wherever your mind is, I need you to turn it towards being happy for me in that scenario. My name is Walter Jennings and I approve that message.
So you if I bought you, some nice, a nice little male review bow tie and the good, and you open that in front of your mom, 80-year-old mom, like you don't have no problem with her seeing the sex toys and the sexy outfit.
I would rather she not, but I need my mama to turn her head, mind her business. Cause look, I'm just saying, because the Bible says the marriage bed is undefiled. So
then.
I'm just putting that out there. I'm just saying that. So yes, you don't want every gift revealed in front of everyone, but if something happens, if it slip up, I need you to just
be happy for you. All right, well, you heard that Walter approved that message, but I'm telling you, y'all need to have some conversations about what is a appropriate public gift versus a private. Only give me this gift in private gift, okay? So y'all need to discuss permissions of the gifts, okay, and what that appropriateness is. All right, we're ready to go. 10 tips to increase a happy holiday and to avoid a hostile one. Are we ready?
Yes, we are. All right, so rule number 1, stop and think before you respond. You want to try to curb your emotions and your feelings especially when someone says something that is potentially offensive. As Charmaine mentioned, one of the great techniques is to turn that question around and ask them, why would you ask me something like that? Rather than just going right into it with an emotional response, stop and really gather yourself and come from a more rational place that allows that person to really think about what they're asking and why they asked the question that they asked.
Absolutely. I love to say, I like to pause first and process the question, especially when something comes at me and I'm taken aback. And what I love to do is kind of say, even I know I've had women to struggle with this, with the intrusive questions. And I said a lot of times pause, especially if it's with an older elder that you don't want to be disrespectful to. And especially if they have a spiritual background, ask them, say, look, one, did you ask God for permission to ask me that? That's one of the questions I love to ask. Did you ask God for permission to ask me that? Because on this side of that question, it feels very intrusive. I feel very uncomfortable with you asking me that question. That's not rude. But number two, refrain from negative thoughts before you speak. If you know something negative is going to come out of your mouth, just pause, take a breather, and the PR statement is like, you know what, I need to go take a walk, and just excuse yourself from the room. Or, excuse me, you know what? I need to take a phone call. Have your PR statements. Use your cell phone as an excuse. Or you know what? I need to, if you have a child, you know what? I need to go check on such and such. Go check on the child, right? But find a way to remove yourself from the environment if you find yourself getting ready to say something negative to where you know you're going to escalate a situation.
Yeah, the elders call that holding your peace.
Hold your peace.
So definitely hold your peace. Number 3, this is probably my favorite one. Keep your sense of humor. One of the things that I love about being around my family and just being around families and holiday gatherings is the laughter, the energy. Listen, the world is already sad and hard enough as is.
This is true.
When you go to your job, you're dealing with stress. When you're going out in the community, you're dealing with roach and all kind of trouble is all over the place. Having these opportunities for joy and laughing, enjoying yourself, that is such a thing to make sure that you preserve. Do not let anything that someone says when you go to these family gatherings or find yourself during this holiday season put you in a bad headspace to where now you're not able to enjoy yourself, be humorous and laugh and enjoy those moments as they come.
Absolutely. Tip number 4 really quick says choose your battles. And that tip goes back to, you know what, even if something does occur, you're passionate about it, it's important. I'm not going to let this go. I have to establish this boundary, and this person needs to know this is not okay, and I am not okay. It's okay to say, you know what, in this moment, I'm not okay with this situation, but this is not the appropriate time or the place, and I will not engage.
All right. Tip number 5, prepare for conflict. Now, here's what this means. What this means is that you want to be clear on what your boundaries are. There are certain things that you're not going to argue about. There's a certain point of no return when it comes to having a disagreement. And so you want to be very clear when you go into some of these discussions, start to get heated. Where's the cutoff and the shutoff valve for you? So being prepared for conflict doesn't mean, well, as if they want to go to level 10, I'm going to take it to level 10. That's not what it means. What it means is that being really sure and committed to your values and your principles as it relates to these interactions, so you don't find yourself moving into a place where you're betraying yourself.
Absolutely. And then tip number 6, refuse, meaning refuse to allow yourself to be drawn into a situation, right? And what you do is you clarify, hey, can I just repeat? Can I summarize what I heard? What was heard in this? When you said this, is this what you meant? So make sure you get clarity as to what someone says, right? Before we infer and or translate it to where it fits our understanding. Make sure that you're clear about what they're saying and what they mean, right? And refuse. Make sure that you don't react to it. They have the right to feel how they want to feel and all of that, but you also are in control of you, and you have the right to defuse, right? Meaning that I'm not going to escalate. I'm going to be at peace, hold my peace. And so I receive and accept that this is where you are in life. This is your thought processes. This is your thinking. I accept you for where you are right now. It doesn't mean that I like it. It doesn't mean that I agree. I just accept that this is where you are, your mindset in this season of life.
And speaking of that, that leads us right into tip number 7, which is attack the problem,
not the person.
Oftentimes when we get angry, we're tempted to blame the person rather than to actually address the problem. And when we attack the person by name calling and by doing all of those various things, it puts the other person on the defensive, and it encourages a defensive response instead of us saying something that actually attacks the problem. So we want to make sure that we're focused on the issue at hand rather than using it as an opportunity to question and attack the character of that person.
That's right. Tip number 8, negotiate based on your interests. And so, negotiation only has to happen if there's a situation where both of you really want to restore a relationship. You want to make sure both of you guys are on the same page. And so negotiate. During the holidays, it doesn't have to be right or wrong, right? Sometimes it's just different, right? If we can't agree on a fixed menu, negotiate. What can you agree on? Focus on what can we all agree on, or what can we all support each other in. Maybe we can't all agree, but we can all at least says, I'm open to supporting you in this, and I'm open to supporting you in this.
Number 9, view conflict as an opportunity. So Charmaine and I, we both work in diversity work.
Yes.
Now, diversity means different.
Yeah.
Now, different for a lot of people is bad because oftentimes people want the things to be the same. They want things methodical and analytical and homogeneous. And that is not the work of diversity, which is the same when it comes to opportunities to discuss our differences. They can create conflict, or they can create opportunities for us to again get a greater understanding of not only one another, but oftentimes broaden our belief system as well, and some of the things that we may not even be aware of.
And tip number 10 in our last tip is mediate, don't litigate. And to mediate is to make sure that if conflict does occur, we don't want it to. We don't want the end of the holiday to end with the police being called because something escalated to the point of no return. We are family, and we all have to be committed to recovery. If I say something to offend you, I am committed because you're my family, right? You don't get to opt out of this relationship. I am committed to recovering. And even if I have offended you, I'm at least committed to apologizing for the offense. But we want to make sure that if that is a challenge, if communication skills are not there yet, we haven't really built that muscle, we want to make sure that who in the family can be mediated. Who is that person that listens really well, right? And they can be a person to sit in the middle and make sure both you and the other person who are at a conflict, that you are able to both be heard, to hear, and to make sure that both of you feel respected, both of you are clear about what the offense is and the problem, and to make sure that you two aren't distracted and really calling each other the problem.
So those are tips for navigating and promoting a healthy holiday season. This has been Before I Do, and thank you all so much for tuning in. If you need help or assistance with game strategies to learn how to resolve conflict, we are here for you as your Couples Academy practitioners. So be sure to reach out to us, schedule a session with us. Go to couplesacademy.com and be sure to book a session with us. We would love to speak with you all.
That's right. We are your practitioners. We are here for you if you're thinking about dating. You just want to have a deeper, more powerful relationship with yourself. We are relationship coaches, and we're here to support you. My name is Charmaine Jennings.
My name is Walter Jennings. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe on couplesacademy.com. On behalf of the Couples Academy team and all of the practitioners, have a Merry Christmas, have a Happy Hanukkah, have a Happy Kwanzaa, have a Happy New Year, and thank you all so much. And tune in next week for our Before I Do Q&A night, our last one of the year. We look forward to seeing you all then. Everybody enjoy the holiday, and we'll see you all next week. Good night, everyone.